issued more than 25 unauthorized Visa debit cards to Erika Girardi herself from the plaintiff's global account for a vast network of friends, political operatives, and associates of the Democratic political fundraiser Tom Girardi and his wife Erika to illicitly use. Previously, Bank of America had allowed fraudulent money transfers from the plaintiff's Merrill Lynch account to the vast network of friends and political operatives, blah, blah, blah. I mean, David.
Could you imagine just like living your life and buying Cartier and Gucci and flying and just knowing that this is not your money? I don't know. Listen, allegedly, who knows how it's going to play out, but Erika is just, I mean, I don't know. She puts on such a, you know, how are you living, basically? Like, I don't know. I'm like kind of lost for words. Like, she just puts on such a hard front, but girl, this shit's mounting. The shit is mounting. That's what I'm trying to say. It's well, like, look, it's not going away.
Yeah, correct. And to me, if this is true, this is the first thing I think that's directly tied her to completely, again, allegedly knowing that she was defrauding someone, because this guy is alive who's supposed to be able to have access to his account. But Tom and Erika have swooped in. They have all access. The bank never stops them. To me, this is probably like, if this all comes together, is her Jen Shah moment, you know, where
and I mean, it raises, like, we now have Bank of America and Merrill Lynch, like, heads are gonna roll. I mean, this is like, right? I mean, who's at these companies giving these credit cards and all that? I mean, there's a lot that could happen here. By the way, we have another lawsuit to discuss, which we've discussed before, but you know, it's Jen Shah's guilty, and we're gonna have a sentence soon, right? Like,
did you read all the new details coming out about that too?
What do you got for me? Tell me.
Oh my God. Well, that's good too. I mean, we're getting kind of more details about the scheme, you know, because one of the big things is she targeted people over the age of 55, where essentially it was kind of like an investment. Well, they set it up like, hey, this is an investment thing where, like, if you give us $3,000, we'll give you $6,000 back. Right. So of course, none of that ever came to fruition. But the biggest thing too, that Jen has pled guilty now to doing, is like, she would find these older people, she would defraud some of them, but some of them who would even say no or whatever, she would still already have all their information, a lot of their information, emails, home address, phone numbers. So she would sell that to another party, knowing that other party could be using it to scam them.
Right, like the person said no to her, and she's like, okay, well, you can try again. Keep trying. Right.
And even if these people asked her not to share their information, she just was selling it anyway.
It was like buying like customer acquisition lists, so to speak, like that.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
And you know, the other, okay, wait, sorry to interrupt you. One more thing, and then I want all your thoughts. You know, the other big thing is Sharif. We kind of now know Coach, her husband. He reportedly makes $555,000 a year from Reality Blurb for coaching and all the bonuses that go with it.
I almost believe that. I almost believe like a coach makes something like in the twos, and you know, that was so with bonuses. I that doesn't shock me ish.
You know, he's reportedly going to be potentially on the hook because they have to pay back over $6 million. And, you know, Shah was now.
And then, right, there was like the 6 million that they made, I guess, and then the 9 million. In like restitution. So, right. So I guess from my reading of that is like they made $6.5 million from doing this. That's what I think.
I know. She's been at it since 2012. So long before the TV show, she was doing this.
Mind you, I even think I see things in their life. I mean, again, it's none of my business. I love talking about this in ratings, apparently. I even see things in their life where I'm like, I don't even know how you're living like this on $6.5 million. It's not that much money. I know you can roll your eyes, but you have kids, and I mean, you know, all that Gucci, and just, I mean, you know, it's a nice chunk of change. Don't get me wrong, but you know, if that's what you made and that's what you have, it's like, all right, so live like a nice high life. But even that, you know, she's that house and this and that. Oh my God.
And don't you think they must be so financially in debt? Like, they were probably so financially in debt to start with, then the attorney fees, now the 9 million. I mean, don't you feel like, I mean, they must be I would think, working to declare bankruptcy. I mean, how she doesn't have any, I mean, I guess, Sharif makes good money. To me, though, it's funny because I almost see it the opposite. I'm like, okay, girl, you and your husband were making $555,000 a year. That is more than like 80% of the entire country makes usually with a combined household income. I mean,
I even think like maybe 90% of the country.
I think you're correct. So it's like, God, you could still be having, a really nice condo in Salt Lake City. You could have still been probably driving a Benz. I mean, I guess now the
Yes.
stakes are so high on these housewife shows that is like not impressive to anybody.
It's not impressive, but it's like, to your point, you were living this life before Housewives. Like, you're not doing this to keep up with Meredith Marks. I mean, you just wanted this life. I mean, so there you go. And I mean, again, look, I think part of why I think there's a lot of reasons why she changed her plea to guilty, because I always have said, when the feds knock on your door, you're basically guilty. I mean, but not all the time, but mostly they're not just knocking. And so they dropped one of the charges. They left the charge of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and they took out the money laundering. So I read this to be, what I read, the most she can get now is 14 years. I think before it was 30 years with the 2 charges. But I think personally, so I think that's a big reason why you plead guilty, because you want 14 versus 30, because it could have been 30. You're rolling the dice. You are rolling the dice. You could have gotten 0, but you could get 30. So I think that's part of why she pleads guilty. And I think it's when she says, I don't want to drag my family into it. I mean, why aren't we talking like we are with Erika? I mean, did Erika know? Did Coach Shah know? And I think that would have started to be a whole thing at trial. I mean, it would have. And so I think the exposure to maybe the kids and the husband and who knew what would have started, and who knows, then they're going to turn around and charge other people. So, I mean, possibly. So I just think this is, she's guilty, but, and it's like, now Coach Shah, there's no more. Did he know or not? He's out of this. That's part of this plea. Like, there's no mention of Coach Shah or the kids or anything. And it's just like, it could be 14 years. So, I mean, girl, you were going to probably lose that trial. That's the bottom line. I'm going to say it again. I don't think you win, really, when the feds knock on your door. Yeah, you get like a reduced sentence and blah, blah, blah. But you don't just say, I'm innocent to Andy Cohen in the world, and here's the trial. Jen Shah's found innocent. We wish her the best of luck in life. It doesn't end that way.
Well, you know what I always think with people too, when people are doing things that, and I have no idea if this is true, but it's just a theory. I just think, she started this scheme, we now know, in 2012, right? So she wasn't even on the show till what, 2019, maybe? So I always think too, you go along for so many years, you don't get caught. So you probably just convince yourself like, hell, it's going great. Nobody knows. We're living